Coach, just what makes Ashley Jones such a special player in terms of her ability to score?
Well, she's well rounded. I mean, obviously, she can shoot the three, very versatile, right, very aggressive. She kind of just has a scorer's mentality, very confident in what she does, and she's very confident in Iowa State's system. She's got really young guards around her. But as we've been talking about, like when you come in as a young guard and get to play with a player like that, you do everything you can to make her look great. And I think that those young guards are really doing a good job of getting her the basketball, and she's doing a great job of, demanding it and putting herself in situations that can allow her to score. So she's crafty. She's a very crafty basketball player.
For y'all, how do you get off this? I don't know if 2 games is exactly a skid, but how do you get back into the winning column?
Every day we just got to go to work. I mean, we got to find the positives. I mean, it's a long season. We have been fortunate not to lose back to back up until this point. And every day we just have to get better. I mean, we did a lot of things right on Wednesday, and we've got to remember that and build on it. And then the things that we did wrong, we've got to correct. So it's just a matter of staying positive, seeing the big picture, trusting the process, and just enjoying the fact that we get to play, that we get to get better every single day.
With the loss being that close and it coming down to the last possession, how have you seen that even just motivate the girls or the women, the young ladies, as far as seeing it is possible to overcome maybe trailing and then use that as momentum moving forward?
Yeah, well, the girls were crushed after the game, and they should be, because they played super hard. And when you invest that much effort and heart into a game and you don't come out on top and you're that close, it should affect you like that when it's important to you. And that's actually what we talked about, is that, for 39 minutes and 40, I can't do the math, for 39 minutes and 52 seconds, they had fun. They had fun competing. They had fun playing hard. They had fun playing in front of their fans. And unfortunately, the last 8 seconds didn't go how we wanted it to. And so therefore they were crushed. So, I think we made a huge grounds by competing like that, by coming back. I mean, they've done that before. They came back against TCU. They know that they can still be in the ball game when they get down, and I think that's a great trait for this team to have, is that they don't give up. So they've just, I love the fact that it hurt them. I mean, it hurt me. It hurt Lady Raider Nation, and that's when it's important to them.
And of course, obviously Vivian and Lexi are both having 20-point scoring performances, but how did you maybe see some of the other players just kind of get more comfortable in their shots? Because obviously there's going to come a time where, they have to be the ones to have to make that last shot because certain things will be taken away.
Yeah, I thought Hattie had a great game as far as some of the things we were asking her to do, and for her to not have as many practices under her belt with us as the others. I thought that she came in and saw some areas where she can really help us, and her presence, and Kyla's as well, is going to really loosen some things up for us, because we've got to have a post presence, and both of them and Deja are doing a good job of trying to feel that. It's really hard as a freshman, I think, to be super productive in the Big 12 particularly, and I think they're finding ways to do that. So that area is only going to get better and better. I think that Maka and Naj and Bryn are carrying a heavy load because they really are only 3 guards, like true guards that have to handle the ball, that have to get us in the offense, that have to defend the other players' best guards. And that's not an easy task for any 3 of them. I think they're doing a really good job of trying to do everything that we ask them to do in that. And hopefully at some point, all of their shots will start falling as well. And they have here and there. And we've got to continue to work on that and to set them up for some areas that when Vivian and Lexi draw a double team, or maybe are struggling or whatever, that they can kind of lessen that burden a little bit by knocking down some shots for them. And then, of course, Tuck. I mean, you have to talk about Tuck. Tucker's doing a really good job for us in a lot of different areas. I thought that in the second half, she was much more of a presence for us and gave us an opportunity to get back in that ball game.
In terms of, people scoring outside of, obviously Lexi and Vivian need to have those shots that they can take. Is it easy to just naturally work in other people to get shots when you have two high volume scorers like that, or is it something that you almost have to kind of game plan game for game? Like, okay, they're going to get their shots, but we also need to spread around a little bit.
Well, for me, when you have two prolific scorers like Lexi and Vivian, you have to give them opportunities to score. And so we've got to get them touches, and you have to have people around them that are willing to set screens for them, that are willing to make the pass for them, that are willing to facilitate whatever it may be. And so to me, I think that we have to put them in position to get the best shot that we can get every possession. And a lot of times that's going to go through your two best scorers. And then when they take that away, we always have a counter of some sort. And, that's going to allow for someone else to step up and knock something down. And I think you're starting to see that a little bit. I mean, like I said, I thought that Hattie had some buckets that really helped us early. And then Tuck also, had some shots. Najee knocked down a couple of threes. And I really think one of the biggest shots of the game was Maka's only basket that she made whenever she saw an opening and used her talents. But, even in that series before that, in that same possession, we looked at Lexi and we looked at Vivian. And Maka was the one that had the opening. So it's actually naturally progressing the way it should when you've got two players like we do on our team.
And then you talked about your team's ability to come back from deficits. We've seen it twice now. How do you, I guess the next step is how do you avoid getting in those early deficits?
Correct. Well, I thought we started the game a lot better against OU. I thought the first quarter we started a lot better. I thought the second quarter we lost our focus, we lost our game plan, we lost our purpose, and therefore dug a hole. And we actually just talked about that in our film session about, we called a timeout in the second quarter to try to stop the bleeding a little bit and together before we got in a big hole, and we came out of that timeout and did not execute. And this team particularly has to treat those timeouts as an adjustment period. It's an adjustment period. It's something that we have to change when we come out of that timeout. Something has to change, whether it's the defensive assignment, whether it's the intensity that we're playing with, whether it's an offensive look that we're trying to get, or an emphasis that we've been working on that we haven't gotten yet. And when we come out of that timeout, we have to have a positive possession. It's critical. And when we came out of that timeout in particular, we didn't just have one negative possession, we had multiple. And you can't burn another timeout in the second quarter, but yet you don't want it to get too far, too out of hand, too early. I think our kids have done a fantastic job of coming out of the locker room at halftime and having big third quarters, not just against OU, but against several teams. And we talked about how if we have to call a timeout in the first half, that's got to be our halftime. That's got to be our halftime adjustment, and they've got to view it like that and figure out how to really be positive coming out of that timeout and changing something, and not just rattled because maybe we're digging ourselves a hole.